It's time. You're tuned in to the Fat Man Gaming Podcast. Let's press start.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Fat Man Podcast. I am your host, of course, the Fat Man. Down below is my new partner in crime, that is the man himself, Nathan. Um, do you want a pod name, like a
Nate's
yeah?
fine. Weirdly enough, even like when I was like doing like work, I feel like I kind of just defaulted to Nate.
Okay, so yeah, that is the man, Nate himself. You guys, we're back for another exciting episode. This episode is going to be our top 10 games of all time, which took me actually the whole week to actually go over because I kept eliminating and adding and um but yeah. So just to start things off, I kind of just want to go on a little bit of a rant here, guys. A little bit of a tangent, one would say. Um, I posted something on socials earlier this week. It was it was funny. It was Master Chief hugging PlayStation 5 and telling Chief, "Welcome to his new home," which went over great with PlayStation fans, not so much with the Xbox fans. But I went on and then I had this conversation also with my coworker slash boss, and it was funny because again, I get what you guys are saying, I get what he's saying, but I don't think you guys are quite getting what I'm saying as far as this goes. When it comes to Game Pass, when it comes to Game Pass is great. I'm not going to deny it's a great service. It's an absolute awesome service. It allows you to play games at that price per month. $30 is still too high for me, I think. Um, but you get access to all of these games, and then the thing is, you're playing these games. And my boss had said the same thing about, well, if people hadn't known about these games, blah blah blah, they wouldn't buy. That's the problem, though. People aren't buying those games. That's the one thing that him and a couple other people fail to understand is that people are playing these games on Game Pass and they're not buying them. The numbers show themselves. The numbers are out there. I've gone over the numbers several times because I'm weird and I like statistics and all that stuff. And I go back to the same moniker that I say all the time. Players played doesn't equal copies sold. Now, on PlayStation side, when those games come to PlayStation Game Pass, those copies sell. Millions of copies, thousands of copies, whatever the case may be. That's revenue added towards the developer, which they're not getting from Game Pass. Yes, they get a nice big bag at the beginning, but that's it. Once that bag runs out, that's development cost. Where's the revenue post game release, which is where copies sold comes and Xbox isn't doing that. It's not players plays doesn't equals copies sold, which means no revenue to developers. Now Xbox developers can get away with this because they got Big Daddy Microsoft behind them. So as long as Big Daddy Microsoft keeps deciding to fund Xbox in those games, they're gonna be okay. But for other small developers, that's not always the case. Now, granted, personal game of the year for me and Nathan, we have both agreed on Expedition 33. Expedition 33 sold, what was it, 5 million copies now?
Yeah, about 5 million. Yeah.
Had that game not released on Game Pass, I'm thinking that number would have been doubled because it would have forced the Xbox community to have to buy that game if they wanted it. I think the numbers that we're seeing for Expedition 33 are are lower than they could have been. That's my point. Like,
No, what? Yeah, every time I recommended Expedition 33 to anybody on Xbox, I was like, yeah, I was all like, hey, it's on Game Pass, get it. And then in quotations, you bastard. Like
yeah,
just because I'm like, you can get it for free. This is the best game
exactly.
of the year, and you can play it for free. Technically, if you have game, you get the point. But like, you have a thing that like you already probably have with Xbox. More than likely, if you have an Xbox, this is a thing you have. You download it. There's no excuse. I bought it for 50. And then somebody's gonna be like, I don't know, it's too expensive. I don't want to sit here and discuss game prices, and especially how we've actually had it pretty god darn good for a very long time. And if you're gonna pretend that $70 to $80 is all of a sudden expensive now, you did not buy your own games in the '90s. I didn't, but I looked at a catalog and I saw that they were even more expensive back then. So,
Exactly. I
but
paid $99 for Smash Bros. 64 at Toys R Us.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like dude, they used to
that's the
be.
argument I was making.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They used to be expensive. Like now, anyway, sorry.
No,
That's a
you're
whole
all
other
good.
can of worms.
But yeah, so I mean, that's the argument that I keep making to everybody. And most
Nah,
people
it's
aren't getting where I'm coming from. But I think well, they go by Xbox. The Xbox are finally starting to see that because a lot of stuff is happening that they didn't want to happen. So Perfect Dark, the reboot, canceled. Um, what was
I heard
it?
about that. It's disappointing.
Yeah, that was a hard one because I really really wanted that game. Several other games canceled. Hi-Fi Rush Studio just shut down. It's like, dude, but that game sold so many copies on PlayStation. How many did it sell on Xbox?
Yeah,
Zero.
true.
And why? Because it was on Game Pass. So that's all the point that I'm making about that.
Yeah, no, for
Like
sure.
Game Pass is great for gaming, but it doesn't equal sales. So so all of you that keep saying Xbox makes money, stop lying to yourself because it doesn't. It loses billions of dollars every year, and it's out there. It's public knowledge. You just got to look at the statistics. They're out there. It's public for public viewing. Um,
And like, and it's not like this isn't a brand new thing. Keep in mind, the Red Ring of Death would have killed any other company.
yeah,
It literally
PlayStation.
would have been the death cry of every other company. But because it was Microsoft, they were given $2 billion to fix a broken console. Sony would never. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God.
I was one of the people that when I got the Red Ring of Death on my Xbox 360, they literally customer service said to wrap it in a towel and play it until the silicone on the chips melts back down. So that was cool.
You see,
It
that's a
didn't
little
work.
silly. That's
Didn't work.
oh, but you got the console a year early. And okay, you got a console that
Yeah.
broke it 3 months into actually playing it. But I'm sure Gears was fun the first. Sorry, I'm gonna get Gears is fun. Don't get me wrong, but if you can only play it for 3 months because your console broke 3 months in, that's tough.
Now the other thing that I'm gonna get onto the second topic that I'm gonna get to is I've been kind of holding off on this just because I don't like to get political. I don't care about politics. I don't care about what your side of views are. It's whatever. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, trans, whatever. As long as you're liking everything, you're all welcome. But lately, I've been seeing big time YouTube, Angry Joe, kind of funny, a couple of other ones too, getting involved in areas they don't belong in. Now, granted, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but you guys gotta remember, people come to watch these things, these videos that we all make, that you guys are like 5 times bigger than us. They come to watch these videos to escape what's going on out there. Yes, we are in the middle of a government shutdown, and yes, both parties are playing a side in it. And yes, one side will always blame the other side. It doesn't matter. But that's not all fair and point. The problem is when people like those go on pander. It's like, dude, and the reason why is because their viewership is falling and because they're becoming irrelevant. And in order to stay relevant, they feel like they have to pander to the greater audience so that way they'll come crawling back. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the other day, I was on Twitter and I was watching, or X, whatever you want to call it. I call it Twitter. X is a stupid name. Um,
It's a little
on
silly.
there, I seen a tweet from Joe Vargas, aka Joe, who I absolutely love. I love his videos. He's gotten a little kind of softer lately. Videos haven't been the greatest, but he was tweeting about ICE. He said, fuck ICE, fuck Donald Trump, and whatever. To each his own, their opinion. Again, I'm not going to reveal what my side is because honestly, it's not doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, he was fuck ICE, fuck Donald Trump, blah 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 blah. It's like, dude. And then on the other side of things, we've got outlets like Kind of Funny and other outfits that are California based that are preaching us to vote yes on Prop 50, which in here in California would redraw lines allowing Democrats to have a higher end of the voting table. Kind of similar to what they did to Texas, which Texas shouldn't have done. But Texas be in the opposite direction on the red side of things. Now, nobody should be drawing lines to give either one the leg up. When California is going to be forever Democrat. But for them to be telling us what to vote for and think, that is where I'm drawing the line. Because at this point, I'm telling you guys, shut the fuck up and stay in your lane. We don't need political advice from you because you don't live in the real world. You live at home 24/7. You are fully funded and given amounts of money from YouTube. You have everything handed to you. You're not a real person in society because you have everything. You're exactly one of the people that you complain about 24/7. You are the rich. You are the privileged. And that being the case, we don't need your advice and we don't want it. The regular people do not want it and we don't need it. We will vote however we feel the need necessary to. And to the rest of the YouTubers, Hollywood actors, and all that, I firmly say shut the fuck up because your opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't unless you live in the real world and cash in a 9 to 5, like both I and Nate do, and most of everybody in the United States does, again, your opinion doesn't matter. So, kindly from here, from the Fat Man Gaming, we ask you to shut the fuck up. And that's where I'm going to leave. Nathan, if you want to add anything to it, please feel free.
Nothing in particular. I mean, the whole thing is kind of silly. I will admit, recently everyone's getting. My opinion is this: media itself is biased. If I'm having to hear a biased person like have a biased take about a biased piece of media, that's too many layers of disingenuousness to actually like perceive reality in any kind of way, shape, or form at this point. Like, I'm not gonna. It's silly. I'd
Yeah,
rather if I'm gonna look at like what if I'm gonna look at anything for any kind of like objective look at reality, I'm gonna look at reality. I'm not gonna look at the entertainment I consume for any kind of like actual like
exactly.
concrete moral wisdom. I will never look at like my favorite comic books and like my favorite manga and anime and all that. I don't agree with them in terms of philosophically in a lot of aspects.
Right,
Okay, sure, whatever. I understand the leanings of my favorite things, but however, if you're gonna tell me that, oh, why do you like a thing that doesn't coincide with your beliefs? I don't think you've witnessed much of the world, my dude. Nor do
yeah,
I think you've actually talked to that many people outside of your bubble. It's or talk to anybody outside of your bubble in good faith. It's like I think you just take way too much caution into your life. You take
right,
everything with so much bad faith that it's actually genuinely impossible to have a reasonable discussion. And
right. Yeah,
it's frustrating. I think that's just
yes.
where I'll leave it. It's just I don't want to be. I don't know. If you're a game reviewer, review games, dog.
Yep, like I said,
Like and like
stay in your lane.
and I will say like and look, it is game related, and I will say that it's like he has every right to. It is a little bit on the side of like, is it consistent with your message? More or less, I almost feel like it might be. I don't know Angry Joe. I haven't watched him. I haven't watched him in a hot minute. It's not like a dig at him at all. I just I loved his Devil May Cry reviews. I thought his
Yeah,
DMC remake review was absolutely hilarious. Like as much as like I kind of like it for a lot of things, maybe he didn't like it for. Although I will say we agree, combat's pretty good, especially in the re-release on PS4 and Xbox One.
I love the
Good
read.
stuff. Love it. The reboot's pretty good. I will actually we'll get to Devil May Cry soon. Trust me. But I so like I like him for his views like on gaming and stuff like that. And like if he wants to bring politics into it, that's fine. I just think that just say it's like maybe not go. I don't know. It's like if you want to, if you're doing this in a irrational and angry kind of response to a thing that's gotten you heated, I understand that, and maybe that's like something you say off the cuff. I don't know if I'd necessarily. For me, as a as someone who works in corporate America, if I were to tweet that, I would understand if I didn't get the job the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yep,
one of
yep.
those things where it's just like the fact that you get to tweet this and like it reached so many people and yet you still have a bunch of people giving you money for
Mhm.
because they like your content. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because I do believe that if you have a good audience and you're able to build up enough of of a thing where you like they're able to donate you money, that's fine. That's awesome. I that I have nothing nothing but like, hey, go for it. That's an alternative career. You're able to make it. The way I equivalent like to is Dark Souls. Find a way to survive and make it through. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
But when you start undermining
Hmm.
your position by saying things that would get normal people that would have incredible consequences for normal people. Granted, that's using your position and using your privilege to alienate and be as hateful as you claim that other people are being. I think it's a little silly.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
is
And
definitely a lot of tooth.
I don't know. I would need to see if like he actually has had genuine talks about this and like his actual genuine opinion of this. Like Lord knows this is just his style of like tweeting off the cuff, like just being like, bah, immediately as soon as like he has a thought. Which again, not the way I would handle social media, but that's just because again I have to be worried about if my employer sees it. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, so that's our take on it, guys. I mean, I just had to go on that little bit of a both those subjects because they've just been bothering me lately. And yeah. Um. So, anyways, moving on to the main topic. Let's see. We're going into our top 10 games of all time. Granted, mine are going to be a lot of RPGs. Not gonna lie. um. But yeah, so let's get started. We're gonna do 10. Uh, Number 10, starting off with Nate, because the guest always goes first here. Nathan, give us what you got.
all right, so I'm gonna start off with a let's see. I'm gonna start off with a one that it kind of got me back into gaming when I started getting back when I started getting back into gaming when I was like 19, 20. I started getting into new franchises after like I got back into it with Mega Man and all that stuff. Then I started
Right.
playing Metal Gear, and then another series I started playing was Castlevania. And one Castlevania game, actually two Castlevania games because I'm going to put the whole kind of the whole series here, but two games in particular. One, Castlevania Lament of Innocence. I love this
Right.
game. And I don't have a physical copy of it on DS right now because it's expensive, and I never had a box copy, and I just got rid of my regular one because I assumed I would get their limited run release. Haven't yet. Um, Order of Ecclesia, my
Ah,
favorite
yeah.
of the Metroidvania games. Like the Egavania, that was my favorite.
Nice.
As much as I love Symphony, and I do think that actually Symphony is, the more I think about it, Symphony is kind of a close second for me. But I
It's
do think that Order is, I like the story of Order a lot. And the mechanic of actually being able to unlock the second half of the game isn't super obnoxious and egregious, in my opinion.
errors being weird.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, it's funny because Symphony was one of my favorites, but it was actually knocked down by one of the other titles. But yeah, no, dude, good pick. Um, so yeah, guys, just one more time. What was that number 10, mate?
Castlevania, Order of Ecclesia, but more important, but more so Lament of Innocence. This was I love this game. This one's a nice. It's not really much. It's like a very like mediocre version of Devil May Cry. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, this is not like
Yeah,
the greatest of gameplay, but the reason I like it is the story. The actual atmosphere is incredible. The story is so Shakespearean stupid. It's kind of similar reasons why I like Devil May Cry games. It's very much like Konami's response to Devil May Cry.
yeah.
Actually,
Um,
I feel like that's kind of more true than anything. But
yeah,
yeah, no,
for sure.
I love Lament for the tone. That soundtrack is incredible. It's like one of the few CD soundtracks I still actually have, along with
Nice.
like maybe like one or two Final Fantasy ones and like Near Automata missing a disc. But I love Lament of Innocence. It's a great game once you can get the taste for it. It's not great in general. I'd say it's pretty much like a 6, 7 out of 10, but I just like
Right.
the vibe and the atmosphere of it. And plus, it was just right place, right time for me personally. So it is definitely more of like a this is why it's number 10, but it's also number 10. Okay.
All right.
All
Number
right.
10 for me is going to be Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
Mega Man 2, man. It lowered itself down my top 10 list, but it still made the list. Mega Man 2, man. What a game. Difficulty insane. Soundtrack incredible. Shout out to Dr. Wily's Castle theme. I mean, if you think about Mega Man, that's the comes to mind always. That's the song that
Oh yeah.
plays in your head. And there's so many epic versions of it out there.
Like
And
Mega
then
Man 2 soundtrack itself is that's been remixed to death, and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
oh yeah, for sure. And if you guys haven't seen it, go to Amazon and if you have Amazon Prime, and do check out the secret levels, particularly the Mega Man one. That episode was incredible, and the way that they did and orchestrated the Mega Man 2 Dr. Wily's Castle theme. Oh man, still gives me chills just hearing that. But yeah, Mega Man 2, the GOAT, at number 10 for me.
That is fair. And we will get back to Mega Man very soon at later this journey here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then yeah, moving on to number 9. Nathan, what you got?
All right, number 9 for me is probably the most recent game on the list, and it's actually not what you expect from just hearing that. I don't like to do like fresh games like and put them on the list super quickly. I like to like let them sit for me for a couple years and
Oh
see
yeah.
like oh yeah like it. Otherwise, I would need to see how Expedition would play like in place in a couple of years. Maybe I need to replay through it. To like further solid my opinions, maybe do the Mael ending instead. However, number 9, most recent entry, Armored Core 6. This
Right.
game was fantastic. I love this game, bro. It's like I can understand actually going through like even the original Armored Core, which I love this game also, and even going all the way up to like Silent Line. I've played all those games. I haven't done the last 3 of the PlayStation 2 games yet, but like the whole series is incredible, and like I kind of kick myself every day that I saw those games in like retro game shops back in the day for like $13 a piece, and I'm like, I remember
Yeah.
seeing Last Raven for 13.99 at Dimple Records, and I'm like, God damn it, why didn't I not pick it up? Because
Back
I'm an
when
idiot.
Armored
Well,
Core 1 was like $5.
bro, and like now I will forever actually say the praises of even the original Armored Core games. They are incredible games, including Armored Core 6, and that was my favorite game of 2023. And yes, I did
Nice.
play Final Fantasy 16.
We
I
did
like
get
Final Fantasy 16.
we did get a special edition for Rubicon the other day. Yeah, it's pretty
I
cool
might
looking.
have to look at that. All right,
It's pretty cool looking.
I might have to look at that. But yeah,
Number.
no, yeah,
Oh no, go ahead. Dude.
Armor Core 6 is Armor Core 6 is number 9. It's definitely
Oh yeah,
it's been enough time, and I've replayed it. It's solidified my opinions. It's a blast. I love that game.
nice. Yeah. Hang on. Let me do this real quick. I got it
No
all
worries,
messed up.
no worries, my dude.
Uh,
Actually, while you do that, I'll just say shout out to Armor Core for Answer for being one of the hardest goddamn games I've ever played in my life.
yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Like, bro, I've been trying to do that final boss for so long. It's just, dude, the 4 mechs, and they hand you like Old King, I think,
Uh-huh.
like the left dog, that guy from Armor Core 4 Answer, and he's damn near useless in the fight. Like it's a miracle if he survives it, and then you have to survive it too. It's ridiculous. It's 4, and then the hard version's 5. I don't know how I'm gonna do that one, but even in 4, it's I've managed to make it through a lot of these Armored Core games, but I have not made it through 4 Answer yet, despite the
Okay.
fact that I think 4 Answer is incredible. 4 Answer is amazing,
Mhm.
but I like
All
6
right.
more.
Number 9 for me. Going back to the Blue Bomber, but the cooler Blue Bomber, Mega Man X. Mega Man X is my number 9. It was kind of hard keeping him on the list, but that was the first game I played on a Super Nintendo. Um, when I got my Super Nintendo, I got it. I got it later on. I got it right at the launch of Mega Man X, so it was Mega Man X Mario World, but I immediately put Mega Man in there because I was so used to playing him on the NES. But yeah, Mega Man X again, incredible soundtrack. Sound out to Spark Mandrill because that is still to this day the banger. Um, I mean, Mega Man himself was cooler. He was taller. He was sure the X Buster. He was no longer shooting plasma, but he was shooting. What do they say? What were his terror bullets? Basically, they weren't plasma. They were, what was it that Alf? I don't even. But yeah, basically X was 2 times or 10 times stronger than Mega. But I mean, they brought in the goat from the X series with Zero. I remember seeing Zero come in and take out Vile that very first level, and I was like, "Whoa, who's cool dude. I mean, he had the long hair, the red armor, the saber, the buster, and it was like, yeah, Zero was like package. But yeah, um, Mega Man X one, uh, my number
Oh,
9.
yeah. Hell yeah. Not good. Number 9 in the. We'll be revisiting Mega Man, especially X, around later with mine. Definitely. No, I play Mega Man X like whenever I move to new places to help me get kind of comfortable. It's like I remember. I don't know why that game specifically. Maybe because I've memorized everything in that game, and that's like one of the Super Nintendo Mega Man X games I actually really love. X2 and X3 are kind of like up in the air for me whether or not I like them, depending on the day. But I love X1 just for the sake of it, like its actual fundamental game design. And whenever I move to a new place, I play that game through just for the sake of just like feeling comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all right, so number 8. Uh, I don't really have a I don't have a singular copy, but Devil May Cry 3.
Nice.
I love Devil May Cry 3. Devil May Cry 3 is one of the quintessential action RPG action games of all time. It's such a stupid but like fun story. It's the how do I put it? It's the actual story. If you look at it, is such a simplistic story, but it's so well told with such style and charisma that it's at the very end of the day, it's just the most fun like movie you have ever seen with the coolest goddamn characters you have ever
Yeah.
seen acting out the craziest like things you could have ever imagined with your like action figures in your room, you know what I mean? Like it's the silliest thing ever, but at the same time the story itself when it actually gets down to the themes of it is really it's interesting. I don't know. I get to the ending, I'm like, is anybody else like getting kind of emotional or is it just me? No, I think maybe it's just me. Whatever. Uh I will also say shout out to Devil May Cry 5 because Devil May Cry 5 was incredible, especially dude gameplay wise. Oh my god. Finally seeing Dante and like that crisp of visuals and like doing the crazy combos that you see in Devil May Cry 3 but in like RE engine.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. But yeah, Devil May Cry 3 is my number 8.
Nice.
And your number 8, my friend?
Let me see. Number 8, I have uh
Can't decide
number 8. Number 8, I pushed this game lower, lower, lower on the list than originally had been. But again, my list has changed over the years. So at number 8, I have the best game in this franchise, in my personal opinion, Link to the Past. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Again, in my opinion, and we go back and forth with this stuff, and a couple of my other friends, um, Bossman does agree with me on this one though. But Link to the Past is the greatest game in the franchise. Now it does take place later on in the timeline, so there's no real I mean, there is, but there's no real definitive of where it is. I know it's in technically considered the bad timeline, but Link to the Past, the soundtrack, the Hyrule Field theme, the story, the abilities that you get in there in a Link. I mean, it's just a classic game, dude. The sprites were beautiful. The map was massive. You had the first set of dungeons. They reversed, and you had to do them over again in Dark World. Um, the funny bunny suit. Until you get the mirror. Aghanim or Arganim, whatever his name was, the wizard. He was like an incredible bad guy. And then of course you get at the end you get Beast Ganon, and then of course there's the way to cheese the game itself with in the very beginning go into the wall and you can beat less than 2 minutes. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just holds up so well even today. And I think the one thing that I wish that they would do, there's rumor that they're remaking Link to the Past. If they do, I kind of hope they do it chibi style, like they did Link's Awakening. But I wouldn't mind a full 3D on traditional Zelda in that nice 4K 60 frames per second Switch 2 port. But I digress. But yeah, number 8 for me, LTTP, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Good sir, you're number 7. Hold on, Nate's having a snack attack right now. But yeah, I mean, I mean, it's just so great. I mean, and then you get the silver sword, or wait, what's the silver sword? The tempered sword. I mean, there was, I think there was one more sword level after the tempered sword. I don't remember. I can go through that game right. I know where everything's. So I play it once a year. That time's actually coming up soon, but right now I gotta finish doing what I'm doing. But yeah, that's mine.
Oh yeah. Sorry for the snack attack there. All right. So ironically, for my number 7 entry, you're gonna this will be funny. Final Fantasy 7,
Nice.
but also right behind it, kind of like looking over its shoulder, like Jesus telling you, like, "Hey, what you did was wrong there." Final Fantasy 15. Uh, I, no. So I played both around the same time. I played. I think I started 7 first, then I finished 15 first, then I went back and I finished 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as much as I will say, like, I like Final Fantasy 15 a lot, I do think there's a lot of fundamental gameplay things that are a little bit on the easy, kind of silly, not really super, really fundamentally polished. Kind of like we can go on about the actual gameplay, the emotions you feel throughout the story, like the actual canon stuff that they actually want you to care about. I don't know, something about it's kind of neat. I like it. Like I like Final Fantasy 15. I won't like delve too much on it. Sorry, my cat's going crazy in the background. Um, I won't delve in too much on it because it's not like I love it, but I'm not expecting other people to understand my love for it for sure.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to 7, I'm never going to actually say that this isn't a fundamentally even bad game, even by today's standards. Um, Look, it's a moderately basic turn-based RPG, and like with I feel like people don't really appreciate the fact that this was like that they
Hmm.
had turn-based combat on more or less a timer. You had to actually think about your decisions quickly,
Right.
and you couldn't really dilly-dally with your decisions. There's like the whole active time battle system was great. I actually think with like maybe shrinking it down to 3 people instead of 4 or 5 back in the previous Super Nintendo games, you actually added a little more stress to it. Regardless,
I
or
actually,
less decision making, depending on how cynical or bad faith you want to be.
I,
But
I actually flattened it. They did the PS4 release.
nice. Oh yeah,
Um.
no, I love Final Fantasy 7. I have actually the Final Fantasy 7 meteor tattooed on the back of my ankle.
Yep.
It is a great game, and like I've seen a lot of slander like from people who are like more of like the modern turn-based RPG mind, or like maybe the more like we like SMT, and it's like, look, I like SMT. It's further up on my list for a reason. However, I think that the actual storytelling of Final Fantasy 7 is incredible, and if you're gonna pretend that 90s JRPGs weren't kind of like, you had to get into the vibe of it. You couldn't just like be like, I'm an action game guy. I like my shooters. I'm gonna sit down and play a turn-based game. That's not how it works, dog.
Yep.
It's like let me ask you this: do you like chess? Do you like card games? Do you like that kind of stuff? No? Then congratulations. I don't think fun first JRPGs or like turn-based RPGs are necessarily going to be for you. It's just, if you don't like the idea of waiting to take turns, then
Yeah.
what are we doing here? But
Yep.
now, I do think the story itself is incredible. The music is amazing in
Oh
itself.
yeah.
This is like quintessential PlayStation RPG, and I'll say this even after all this time. There's something special about Final Fantasy VII that I mean the fact that like if you actually look into the game and like how not really well put together the programming is. There's a lot of bugs in the game. There are channels who have made. I feel like probably like a good living off of just finding bugs in Final Fantasy VII, because there's just a lot of things like held together with toothpicks and glue because they were making a 3D RPG that was like huge, and they had like 4 different art styles going on at the same time,
Oh
and
yeah.
like you're trying to do and push everything like to the limits for the PlayStation 1 to make Sony like the big bucks, and they did because Sony also put a decent chunk of marketing into it, and plus the game was
Oh yeah.
fundamentally just good. The story's incredible. I love it, and there were several points in it I got moderately like emotional. Like this isn't like
Oh yeah.
I got through the game and story's good. It's like I felt it in some places. You can't take that away from me.
Right. Just
So
shout shout out to this guy, If you guys know where that reference came from, it's from the game, and yeah, you'll find it one. This
God, there's
guy
so many
are
things.
sick.
There's a lot of things in that game. That's Lord.
Oh yeah,
That game. This game is a gem. I love it. It's a great
absolutely.
game. I need to. This is probably actually the one game I probably need to go and replay because I feel like every other game I've kind of replayed through at least once. S- Sans SMT. Never mind. That might actually be full of shit. Anyway, um, but no, I do need to play through FF7 again at some point. But I remembered it being a very great game, and I had really fun memories attached to it.
Yeah, back.
I
Gonna get
played it.
some.
I played it a lot longer ago than like a lot of other games, so like it's definitely still not as fresh in my mind as other games as much as I'd like it to be. But at the end of the day, I do remember Final Fantasy VII was and still is a very special game. Even
Oh
if
yeah,
like even if like at the end of the day I see a bunch of other RPGs that I'm like, oh yeah, they eclipse Final Fantasy VII in other ways. It's like the thing is though that Final Fantasy VII was very special for what it did,
right.
and I like.
Exactly. Revolutionary at the time for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's see.
All right,
Number
your
seven.
number 7.
Number seven for me. I went the opposite of Nate. Number seven for me is Final Fantasy VIII. Um, eight is one that
Is that the
is
controversy we're talking about? Joking.
yeah. Eight is one that's very underloved, very underrated. The main character, I get it back in the day, was edgy, and I always tell everybody, I think I've said this to you before, Nate, too. If Final Fantasy VIII was released in modern society today, that game would have been a smash hit.
If you
Um,
would have released it in the early 2000s, it would have
oh
been an
yeah.
even bigger hit.
But yeah,
Like,
no, the game itself is like super underloved, super, I mean, the story is fantastic. The main protagonist, kind of like Batman type and Dark Knight-ish, like he's kind of moody, kind of broody, kind of also
whatever.
yeah, also kind of got that emo vibe going with him and all that. Every other word is like Nathan said, whatever, don't care. And then you have the opposite of him when you go into the dream state with Laguna, who's like bubbly, bouncy, kind of dorkish, and barely gets by the skin of his teeth, but in the coolest way possible. And you got guys like Cypher, you got your partners Renoa, Zell, Chris, all those guys. And then some of the summons in the game were the coolest summons ever. Um, but yeah, Final Fantasy VIII. If you guys haven't played it, check out the remasters. They have them in a double pack for the Switch, 7 and 8. Um, yeah, great game. Absolutely love the draw system. Now that's where people come in with the junction system, and that's where everybody's complaint was because literally in the first disc of the game, you can be godly if you play your cards right. And speaking of playing cards, Triple Triad today, probably still one of the greatest card games in Final Fantasy. Um, Queen's Blood kind of comes close, but still, I fall back to Triple Triad. Um, and then yeah, that's my number seven. Moving on to number six, Steve. What do you got?
All right, so my number 6 is this is a weird one for me because like I feel like I'm weirdly insane for liking this game because I feel like nobody else does. Tales of Berseria.
Ah, gotcha.
I love this game. And I feel like I don't know why at some points. Because even to be fair, Tales fans are about as mentally unwell as the Silent Hill fans, but for fundamentally different reasons. But we're not going to get into that. But like I see like very mixed opinions on Tales of Berseria. I think maybe by the time Tales of Berseria came out, everyone was tired of the engine that Tales of Xillia was using, which I get it, whatever, but I don't know. Gameplay good. Actually, the gameplay fantastic. Like v- I, story fantastic, soundtrack fantastic. I don't know what to tell you. Toy Sakuraba killing it with the music. Velvet Crow is one of my favorite female protagonists. I actually think she does the whole angry
Right.
girl boss thing incredibly well, mostly because they give her a mess up enough backstory and a good enough drive to actually make her a fundamentally fun character. I don't think she's written as like a man who then who is written to be a woman, if you know what I mean. You know how it's like some people be like, well, she might be written as like a. I'm not gonna get into it, but she's a
Yeah.
great character. And then like the actual like the antagonist and like that whole relation. Every character is great. I really enjoyed the story of that game. And for
Oh
some
yeah,
reason, I feel like I don't know why other people don't like it. Even the original artist who did like some of the early Tales of artwork, what came back to do the artwork for Tales of Berseria, and then she, unfortunately, she passed away. Like
yeah,
not too long afterwards. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it was like a maybe like the swan song of like that kind of era of Tales of, but I don't know. I
right.
liked it a lot. And to be fair, I haven't played too many of the other Tales of games. I tried Zestiria first, even before Berseria, despite the fact that they called it Zestiria because they wanted to add some zest to the franchise. It's the most It's the uh, most like white bread kind of like plain toast I've ever played in my life. And then Tales of Hearts R was just a it was a generic RPG in my personal. I only got 3 hours in, so I can't really say, but I just didn't enjoy it that much. But
Right.
Tales of Berseria like really hit it for me. I don't know why that one, but yeah, maybe it's because it was the super edgy one. I like my edge.
Nice. All
That's
right.
my number 6.
Number 6 for me, we got Final Fantasy 9. So 8 and then 9. 9 I do prefer over 8. 9 just had it. So 9 went back to traditional style Final Fantasy. Um, not in the sense where it didn't have job titles, but it did have a cast of very very awesome characters, except for Quina. Quina, but I mean, you gotta have. Um, but yeah, had an awesome cast. People don't like Zidane. I think Zidane is cool. Zidane, you had the Black Mage Vivi. You had your White Mage with Princess Garnet, aka Dagger. You had your Thief with Amaranth. You had your who else was there? You had your Blue Mage, Quina, who again I didn't really care for too much, and you had your Knight with Steiner. Um, and then you had your Dragoon with Freya, who I really like. Freya is a broken character, so my team always consisted of Garnet, uh, Zidane, Garnet, Steiner, and Freya. Um, everybody was like, "Oh, EC Phoebe, Phoebe was cool, but Black Magic every day." But oh, and then Eco was a thing. Um, but yeah, Final Fantasy IX, man, it was awesome. Great story. One thing that the Ultima weapon finding that in there sucked unless you do it. But yeah, I mean, great gameplay, traditional style RPG, turn-based 4-player team. But yeah, I mean, definitely had a message that I feel like the story in that game is pretty awesome. It was basically coming to terms with lifespan, and basically the what I got from it that no day is guaranteed, so live while you can. Um, but yeah, Final Fantasy IX is my number 6. Moving on to number 5, dude. What you got?
All right, so my number 5 is a combination of two games, or more or less, it's the entire um, Metal Gear series. But I'm going to highlight two games specifically.
Yeah.
One is Metal Gear Solid 3, and then another one would be Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, I love 3 for a lot of reasons I explained in the. I mean, we talked about Metal Gear the last episode, so
Oh yeah.
don't need to really tread too much ground here as to why I love both of these games. But I think for me, I think gameplay wise, I love Metal Gear Solid 5 a lot. That actual gameplay loop is so fun and addicting. But I also love the I like the almost like weirdly like kind of like flippant kind of dismissal of a narrative that game kind of has. It kind of doesn't really care about telling a full story because that's not the point. That's the literally not the point of what we're doing here at Metal Gear Solid 5. If you want to play story, play the other games.
Oh yeah.
But 3, the story is incredible. And it's always the game I will recommend to anybody who wants to do any kind of like James Bond, but through the jungle and kind of like just going through the most fun, campy, like spy thriller that's about 12 to 15 hours. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Sounds good. Let's see. Let's speed through these. Push it up on time.
Oh,
I'm
you
try to keep.
muted yourself, you bastard. You good.
Did I? Am I muted?
But yeah, no. Metal Gear Solid 5 though, it's everyone likes to dismiss it as like kind of like the weird black sheep of the franchise because admittedly it doesn't feel like any of the other games. It really is very much like, unless you count Peace Walker. Peace Walker is kind of like an offshoot. I don't really. Mm, I kind of count it, but it just feels like one of those like games that Kojima probably fundamentally didn't want to make, and I feel like by the time he hit 5, he kind of knew how he wanted to end, how he knew how he wanted to end the series, and a kind of like, this is not
My bad.
a thing that you can just finish because it's a cycle of revenge here. Was it like, we've talked about this in the previous? I'm not going to go too much into it, but I feel that the actual thematics of that game, in terms of it being an incomplete narrative and that going into the actual meta nature of the game, is more fun and interesting to talk about than, well, I didn't get a fun little cutscene to give me little happy chemicals in my brain after it was done. I'm like, I don't care.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
He can't hear you, bro.
Oh shit. Hang on. I gotta unplug my mic.
What'd you do? Check your input.
Oh, let's see. Oh,
Check
shit.
your input. Make sure your mic is connected. And
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Just go ahead.
oh, okay. All right. Uh,
Do,
I
do,
can't hear
do.
it. Sorry.
Wireless headset. Close isolation.
I hope you can cut this.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay. Does it still sound clear though? Because I'm using the microphone on the headset.
Um, I mean, it sounds. I mean, I can hear you, but like, what's
All
going
right.
on with the microphone?
I don't know. It just cut out all of a sudden.
Damn. I mean, like, is the
All right.
volume
Is
on the
this
bottom
better?
on?
It should be. I didn't touch it. All right. Let
Mm.
me see. Let me check. Cause I'm gonna switch quick.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me now? No. Dude, default. All right. Let's see. Hear me? I'll put speaker headset. Input. Studio. All right. Let's see. Is that working? No. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
It's got something to do with I don't know. I think my microphone might have just died. Let me see. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having technical difficulties on my end. Let
Can you cut
me.
this?
I can, yeah,
Okay, cool.
but the audience might because it's chaotic. But let me see. Let me just make sure that this is. Let's see. All right. Wait. Where's my audio at? Now I can't even see it. Okay. Yeah. So it's weird because it's capturing the microphone, but it's saying that it's capturing um from the headset. So I don't know what's going on, but apparently it's working. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you sound relatively similar. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's see where we were at. We're at number 5. Or no?
Yes. I'm Metal Gear Solid 5, and Metal Gear or 3 was my number 5 pick.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulty. Anyways, number 5 for me. Sony own Legend of Dragoon. Legend of Dragoon, another RPG. Like I said, there are going to be a lot of RPGs on this list. Hey, you guys go. Sorry about that. A lot of RPGs on my list, but yeah, Legend of Dragoon is another one of those games that Sony needs to eat shit or get off the pot and because it is an absolute banger of an RPG. It has a style similar to Expedition 33. The attacks are time based and it's pretty freaking cool. Also, got a little bit of Power Rangers in there, being the Dragoons. They turn into from regular warriors to their dragon state, which is basically heavily armored warrior with wings that has special attacks and ultimately has an ultimate attack, several ultimate attacks. And man, what a banger RPG, banger story. Voice acting, kind of goofy, but I mean, you expect that from late 90s, early 2000s. Um, but yeah, Legend of Dragoon, my number five. If you guys haven't, no spoilers, definitely one of those games I don't want to spoil. It's on PSN right now, free download. Go and check it out because it is a banger RPG, especially if you like Expedition 33. Do change it though because it didn't translate well to HD TVs. There is a delay on it. So you want to either be a second fast or a second slow on certain attacks. But yeah, definitely go check it out. Legend of Dragoon, a fantastic story. Fantastic RPG. And then yeah, let's see. Number what is that, number five? So yeah, moving on to number four. What's that, dude?
Right, so the general Mega Man series, but a couple specifically. So this is a very unpopular pick. I have a weirdly weird taste in gaming. Mega Man X8 is one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game. It's fantastic. No one will ever tell me otherwise. I think it's the there's a lot of things that like think that people will complain and be like, gimmick levels. Welcome to platformers. I don't know what to tell you. Otherwise, level design is just like kind of like copy and paste, and you just change the color. You have to have gimmicks, otherwise you can't tell like what you're doing isn't like if you're just walking through a corridor that's painted green like a forest or painted brown like it's industrial stuff. Like I don't know what to tell you when it comes to game design and stuff. Gimmicks are fine, whatever. um Mega Man X8 is great in my personal opinion. It's a great soundtrack. Story is great for Mega Man X game. Like, and I say that in like, not like the stories and like earlier X games like didn't exist. They did. It was, but like they always focus more on like gameplay. The actual narrative of Mega Man X8 is an interesting little like idea of like, should we actually evolve, or is maybe staying where we're at kind of like the best we can do? Because maybe if we try to like bring evolution a little too quickly, it might backfire. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's an interesting theme of like whether or not we actually should evolve as a species quicker than not, and forcibly. It kind of baked into that game that I find more interesting. And when people tell me that like there isn't some kind of like, and they're like, "Oh, I'm confused by the Paradise Lost thing. When did religion get all of a sudden time into my Japanese video game?" Hilarious. And then my other Mega Man game that I want to highlight is Mega Man Battle Network 6, aka The Goat. That is one of my favorite games in terms of just the Battle Network games and the like the RPG Mega Man games in general. That is probably the best along with like Star Force 3. Star Force 3 is they finished on a banger. They did not need to, I guess like they got cut early. So they were like, "Okay, we're just gonna do a third one and call it a day from there." And they end on the best note possible. Like that is probably one of the most fun of the Star Force games. The third one, it's fantastic. But Battle Network 6 is like a one I highlight also is like fantastic. Your microphone is still not working. Can't hear you. But another highlight I will say, Mega Man X4 is probably the most competently designed one in the series, in my opinion. I actually find very few parts of Mega Man X4 specifically in terms of its game design as like anything that's like gross or offensive. The one thing I will say about Mega Man X1 specifically is that Armored Armadillo is way too hard if you're just going at it from a Buster only run. Whereas Mega Man X4, I feel like you can do it competently with a Buster only run just fine. Whereas X1 is a little bit on the trickier side in that regard. But yeah. And then I love X5, but it's just definitely like kind of. It exists. X6 is a masochistic, weird kind of like sick joke I like to play myself every once in a while. I love the soundtrack. The game is frustrating. X7 is boring as hell. I definitely played too much of it as a kid, but you could take it was either that or the bad 3D Sonic games. And I mean that with the most amount of like love and sincerity because I love those bad 3D Sonic games, especially Shadow the Hedgehog. That is the dumbest game I've ever played, but it's one of the best games I've ever played. Ironically, though, I think the only series of the Mega Man games I haven't actually like, besides the Legends games, I haven't finished the classic games. Like 3 through 6, I haven't finished, and I definitely have not finished 9 and 10. But I've played Mega Man 1 and 2 recently. Both are fantastic. Mega Man 7 is a pretty darn good. 8 was a classic from my childhood, and I love it. Not other people do, but I love it. And then 11, I really liked. I don't think it was probably like as good as some of the other games, but I think with the expectation that Mega Man has in terms of how much you know about the Mega Man series in order to be able to adapt, like the reason I think Mega Man 2 is actually really good and for it being an early game is the fact that it doesn't expect you to know too much about Mega Man in order to be able to actually play through it. Whereas like later Mega Man games kind of get you like you know how this whole thing works, right? They kind of just skipped the fundamental level design of like this is how you jump and like avoid obstacles and stuff. Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 1 specifically, a lot of those platforming challenges were really simple, but you kind of just like you just do them and then you're like at the boss all of a sudden. Like you do the Gutsman stage, it's just it's like 3 simple platforming challenges and then you're at the boss. Now it's like these stages have to get longer and more complicated because duh. All good. I can just riff about Mega Man games all day though because I do love the series. Um, it's just I have very strange taste in which ones are my favorite, and Mega Man X8 is probably at the end of the day still my favorite. It's like if I were to describe one Mega Man game for me, it's like it's definitely Mega Man X8. It's fun. I like it a lot. Anyway. Number 4. Ooh, slow times though, right? Yeah. Oh, dude, the DS version, he's good. Weirdly enough, I actually think one of his most unique character designs, actually, if we're going to talk about Akira Toriyama, like protagonist design, is actually a very unique one, at least in my opinion. Still distinctly Akira Toriyama, but you're not like Maybe it's the orange hair that's kind of floating me out. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, no, that's Vegeta. Yeah, that is Vegeta. All right, so my number three is a combo again. I would probably say more. Okay, so I'll do the. All right, so it's Digital Devil Saga and SMT4. Shit. Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Digital Devil Saga, both games. All right, so SMT4, I'll go with this one because it's like like the main pick is probably a Digital Devil Saga, but SMT4 is a little bit more. I don't know. There's a lot of things I find special about SMT4 in terms of it, like its relation to other SMT games, like how much it broke from the mold of like what SMT kind of was up until that point. Because SMT, the history of SMT, after SMT3, it kind of like changed to be more kind of representative of like that. SMT had a certain feel and a vibe up until that point. Then four kind of changed it a little bit and it went from like more of like a hard like desert like we're like absolutely screwed, no humans left, absolutely isolationist kind of feel to a more of like a mystery of like what the hell happened here kind of thing. uh, like so it has a different vibe to it, but I love the story of it. The different endings and outcomes of the game are fascinating, and like the themes of it are great. The battle system of SMT4 is great. I love SMT4's sequel, Apocalypse, for gameplay reasons for the most part. I do think lore wise it adds a lot. I do wish it was a little bit less on the shonen tropey, but however, I'm not going to really complain about that too hard. Demographics, I'm not going to really care too hard about that. But SMT4 is a special game in that regard. However, Digital Devil Saga is one of the coolest god darn games I've ever played in my life. It takes a lot of like mythologies that aren't really like super mainstream over here in the Western worlds and kind of integrates it into like this weird story in the first game, and then after that it goes for like this weird apocalypse. Like it's weird. You get two different flavors of apocalypse in this game. You get the weird digital one and the one that comes afterward. The battle system in Digital Devil Saga is probably peak SMT. I do think SMT3 in terms of like well you're up because you're able to get demons. That's a little bit more of like okay that's neat. But I think that you being able to customize all your party members um, is also kind of neat. Being able to do basically kind of like just a job system, but kind of like being able to break away from your job or whatever. It's very much like a skill tree, kind of like early skill tree, but like as an RPG kind of stuff. I liked the way it was handled in those games and the narrative soundtrack, fantastic. Um, yeah, Digital Devil Saga has a weird special place in my heart. I love it. Yeah, probably one of the better turn-based RPGs I've played in terms of like customizability, just like being able to just sit down and just relax for a little bit. It's strangely relaxing, but still has enough of a bite in its difficulty to keep you on your toes. It isn't SMT3 where it can just like bitch slap you out of nowhere for no reason. Yeah, Digital Devil Saga is a little bit more on the tame side in that regard. It doesn't it doesn't there's no like your protagonist. I don't think I don't think your protagonist dies this game over. I don't think so. I'll have to replay it to check that, but I don't remember it being an issue if that was the case. But yeah. But Shin Megami Tensei, Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, and or SMT4. My number three. Oh, the original, nice. I played through it recently on PSN. You can do rewind function. I recommend that if you're trying to play some of these older games. Don't let your gaming pride tell you otherwise. It's fine if it's older and has that function now. Boohoo, just do it. Just play through the game, and if you want to play through the game all natural later, you can always do that. I'd recommend just play through it once. It's the just find a way to get through it and just get through it. And Resident Evil 2 is fantastic. Yeah, a lot of fun. Right. My number. All right. So kind of shocking actually, like how much of obsession I've gotten, how much I've obsessed over these games as of the last couple of years. It's hard to decide which one I actually want to put here. It's a combination of really two, but I want to throw in a third one here to be an asshole because I want to be funny. So Elden Ring and Bloodborne, but also peeking behind like Jesus again would be Demon Souls.
Nice, dude.
Um, I I think at the end of the day, I'd probably say Elden Ring is my favorite of the three, just because of the sheer amount of stuff there is and like the sheer volume of it. But Bloodborne had such a great vibe to it that it leaves definitely a very lasting impact for sure. You don't get out of the DLC without fundamentally thinking about the choices you've made in life, whether or not you should have bought this game in the first place. I'm joking. No, I Bloodborne is probably my favorite, but I will also always recommend Demon Souls because it's shocking how much they got right the first try. Like it really is. Like some of these bosses are gimmicks. I genuinely don't care. Um like a lot of like yeah, you can like it's this kind of the same thing where it's like you can only do so much with like okay, well the boss hits you and then you hit them back. How does this make it any special? This is why when you start having reusing of boss animations eventually like the Erdtree avatar from like Elden Ring, it being like the like one of those like asylum demons from like the earlier Dark Souls games becomes a joke because it's like when the entire thing that relies on your memory of a certain boss or character is the animations in which they're attacking. I feel like that's kind of like weird and sad in some sort of ways if you're gonna rely on that specifically. Granted, I always love seeing those animations show up in like later Souls games because I know they're gonna add a ton more because that's just how they are. I actually don't mind reusing assets, but I don't know. There's a lot to Demon Souls. I think they got genuinely right the first time, and then trying to dismiss it as like, oh well, they're kind of like the bosses are easy. Okay, then beat the bosses. Then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's the reward of getting through a really hard stage. You get to beat a boss relatively pretty easily.
Yeah.
And, like I don't see the issue here, especially if you would cry foul if you had to go through 4-2 with no shortcut and then the boss at the end of it was hard as hell. I don't care what you have to say. You're not going to tell me, like, I think the fact that the bosses were actually on the easier side was kind of a mercy. And you should learn how to accept the handouts when you can, okay? Don't know what to tell you. But Demon Souls, I think they fundamentally got a lot more right than they did wrong. And shocking amount because I don't think that they actually took any of those to Dark Souls 2, but we're not I still need to finish that game before I start moral grandstanding on that one, but uh Demon Souls, I think they got fundamentally a lot right there. Bloodborne is a great evolution of the entire thing that brought everything to like a more modern standard. And then I think Elden Ring was just the capstone of like, nah, we are the goats here. Every other developer who is trying to do this action RPG shit is doing this wrong. We're doing the like I feel like they got away with like they were able to dude, Elden Ring sold 30 million copies. The fact that the fact that FromSoft went from like the Armored Core devs from the PlayStation 1 and the Kingsfield devs back in the day, and now they're basically on top of the world, and nobody can give them any kind of shit for it because they just made good stuff along the way. I think that says a lot.
Oh yeah.
So after all that, I will say Elden Ring and or Bloodborne, and because I'm an asshole to even see Demon Souls, number 2.
Nice, dude. I gotta ask you a question. Your headset that you're wearing, is that audio only? Or it
Uh,
does it have a mic?
It does not have a mic at all. It is a literal plug mic I go into my computer with.
Okay, I think that's where I'm having an issue then, because this is a mic and
Yeah,
headset.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
gonna try naturally sync along with it. It's annoying as hell. You have to basically
exactly.
stop it.
So
Yeah,
it's yeah, so it's canceling this guy out. That's all right. Doesn't matter.
no worries.
Uh, let's see. Number two for me, man. And this pains me to put it at number two because it's still my goat, but no longer. Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, I bumped down to number two for mostly the same reasons that Nathan talked about. Basically, it is my favorite game. The main character, Cloud. Not so much Cloud though, as it is Zack. Uh, Zack plays a very small role in the original Final Fantasy VII, but later on you'll figure out why he has the story that I love about him so much. But you know, Cloud, Sephiroth, Tifa, Barrett, Yuffie, the list goes on. Sid, Red 13, Vincent, the battle styles, battling the weapons, getting the platinum for me was the biggest accomplishment ever. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII, man, my number two. Uh, and then yeah,
Oh yeah, my
finally
jam.
down to the wire, number one, Nathan. What you got, bro?
All right, so um, I will say I actually managed to make my list pretty quickly, and I have had this game at my number one for years. At this point, ever since I played it, and this is the one time where I'm like, I don't know if I will ever actually be able to get it to topple ever, and that's Near Automata.
Oh,
This is
gotcha.
the one of the best games I've ever played.
I honestly was expecting that. Yeah, that makes sense.
This is one of the I don't know what else to say. Eh, This is a I know I was like talking about earlier about like media and making sure it doesn't affect you in a fundamental way, but Near Automata does something very unique in that regard where it actually like contends with genuine philosophy in a I want to say a moderately decent faith way. And even somewhat religion, a little bit less so in that regard, but I feel like most things don't cover religion in a proper good faith way because religion is silly and obviously the rest of the world thinks it's silly, right? Anyway, um anyway, but Nier Automata tackles like actual deep philosophical topics in a way that I still kind of like, mull over to this day. Plus the music's absolutely incredible. Plus the gameplay is pretty darn good actually. It's not like, incredible. It's like but however at the same time, if you're like that fun floaty like platinum game style kind of action combat, you know what, screw it. The gameplay is actually pretty goddamn good too. Like,
I
yeah,
only went back. I only went back to play it because of Stellar Blade. I hadn't played it until before Stellar Blade.
and like it's still kind of pretty it's still pretty fluid. It feels like a platinum game and like it but however like it doesn't feel as like constrained as like some of their older games. Like this feels very nice and open and freeing. I feel like the gameplay loop in that game is fantastic. But then you hit the story and it's like a
Yeah.
man made this. Like it there's a lot about that game I could gush on about for forever. The actual characters like yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot I could say about that game. I won't like spend too much time on, but ever since I played that game, I don't think I've ever moved that game from its spot.
No, for sure.
Ever since I played that, I'm like, nah, this is it. This is the this is one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. And even after all this time, like I love my Metal Gear games. I love making my mind screwed by Metal Gear games and all that stuff and all these other games I've played. At the end of the day, though, I appreciate Nier Automata on a more intellectual level because of its willingness to have a conversation through its story.
Right.
While also still like it has a very nihilistic answer, but I also think that its answer still has a little bit of hope wrapped into it. The ending is very much like shit might be pointless. Try anyway. And I think that's kind of like, but it like in a lot more of a less kind of sarcastic way than I said, but I think that at the end of the day, it's like not only did I get a good game, but I feel like I actually grew as a person and not in a particularly biased way, but in a fundamentally looking at my life in a more
Right.
philosophical kind of way. And I got that through a gosh darn video game. Hilarious. Anyway,
All right. Moving
all
on
right,
to
you're number one, my friend, and I
my
already know
number
what this
one.
is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. My number one, and we had Nathan had kind of brushed up on this at the beginning of the episode. Uh, Traditionally, I don't do this, but this game made such an impact on my life this year that I had to put it at number one. It has kind of lurched its way into number one, and I do feel like it is now and will forever be one of the greatest games of all time. Basically, made a resurgence to its demographic, and I see most games in this style going forward in this fashion. A lot of developers were just already going, goo goo for it because they're like, oh man, like it's back. We should have been doing this a long time ago. Granted, these guys did it with 30 people from a developer that clearly doesn't respect their employees, their minds, and is holding them back to the highest standard. Um, but yeah, that game for me, number one and my greatest of all time currently is Expedition 33. Expedition 33, it made me feel things in a game that I hadn't felt from since Final Fantasy VII, which is why that's still at number two. I ran through a gamut of emotions. I mean, if you played the game, you didn't feel anything, I want to go see somebody because you got problems. I laughed a lot. I mean, specifically just from Marshmallow Man. What is his name? Huh?
Marshall Monaco or
No, Monoko though. Monoko is still my favorite character in the game. I laughed so many times. His obsession with feet is goated. Um, SK.
right SK,
SK.
right.
I'll never forget seeing a cutscene with him and Verso where they talked about wheeze and woos. I'll leave it at that. And as of lately, I've been feeling myself more woo than we.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, definitely. So
but that's just the state of the world we're in. But yeah, no, I
we're
mean,
all feeling a little woo.
oh yeah, I mean, from characters like Monoko to SK to Gustav to Mael to I mean, all the characters I had. Personally, I like CL better than Lune, but I'm in the minority there. Um, but
I can
yeah.
understand it. I'm definitely more of a Lou name because I've got issue. I'm joking.
Definitely the mommy type, but CL just
Well,
I
it was
like
more.
I
It's like
like
I was
aggressive
more so
women.
referencing I actually just I switched to her all the time just because she didn't have any walking animation.
Yeah, she just kind of floated.
She just like kind of floats. I'm like, cool. I don't have to walk. Somebody like it psychologically. It makes me seem faster, even though I know it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't care. Okay.
But yeah, it made me laugh. It made me cry several
Oh,
times.
dude. No,
It
dude. Like, dude. That's why I
its
gotta watch it over.
message of its message of dealing with grief and all that. It was so powerful, and to think that a team of 30 from Ubisoft made that game and basically bitch slapped the entire industry to the point where everybody was just like, "Dude, what?" Um, and then the same thing, there's other games out there like Team Cherry that made Silk Song, which is a great game,
It's like,
but
yeah,
yeah, 33 for me is my number one game of all time right now, and
hell yeah,
I see it staying there for a long, long time. And there's
yeah.
definitely a sequel coming out. They confirmed, and there's some DLC coming out, and yeah, man.
I think I'll have to play through it one more time, like in the future. Like, give me like another year or so, and then
Yeah,
I'll reconfirm this like with another playthrough. However, I Expedition 33 is excellent. If like I could, if I were to like, I'd be lying to you if I'd be like, oh, I don't know, I think Devil May Cry 3 is better. Or no, I mean, well, I think because of its age and everything that I could definitely argue over Lament of Innocence, that's for sure. But
right.
uh,
If
uh,
the
like
camera is on.
but like for me, like yeah, it was. I mean, it's like less than 6 months ago at this point. Like it is. I definitely haven't had enough time for me to personally be like, okay, put it on my list. However, I respect the hell out of that because I mean, shoot, I just talked about how Nier Automata. As soon as
Yeah.
I played it, I'm like, no, this is the top.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Immediately, I'm like, no, no question, and it hasn't moved ever since. But like, sometimes you get that feeling of you're just like, oh no, I played something that just really hit me that hard. Oh shit. Okay, so
No,
I
and
get that.
that's a good point because after that, I'm playing games right now. They're just not hitting, dude. Expedition 33 has put me in a weird spot with gaming to where I'm kind of like that was peak gaming for me, and I've actually debated the line of retiring from gaming, but then I wouldn't be able to do this and hang out with you and do all that, so it didn't quite do it. But I was borderlining it for a long time there. Like I don't know if I'm ever gonna play anything this great again. It really pushed that line for me, which speaks volumes for itself. Um,
Well,
but
as someone who hasn't played anything that has beaten my last game has beaten my favorite game of all time for the last 8 years or so, um, I will say
yeah,
that like I mean, you already know, like every game has like you can always find your favorite flavor of you can always find your favorite food, but that doesn't mean you can't find like some other kind of like some other kind of thing that's also excellent, but it's a different kind of excellent.
right, right.
It's like it's like what's I will always love a good 9 out of 10 that I'll always appreciate, and like just because like shoot Final Fantasy 15, I don't even think that's like necessarily a fantastic game. It's one of my favorites because I don't know for some reason that it
I
hit
agree
I
with
don't know.
that. I'm actually
Yep.
going to be replaying that fairly soon.
Oh yeah. Dude, they
Um,
added so dude with the DLC they added so much good stuff.
oh,
They
I
added
know. They
dude
took out
the
they took
final
out the
level of the
Power
game
Ranger
had
suits though.
oh man. Aw. Actually I'm kind of bummed about that now. Fuck.
They
But
replaced them with Magitech armor, but they're not the Power Ranger suits no more.
oh. No, they added so much with that. The DLC and like the even the free stuff they added. Um it- the final level, I remember it used to be like just basically you walk up to your old house, you fight Ifrit, you walk upstairs, and then you fight Arden. Now it's
Right.
like there's actual level design. You fight giant monsters in the streets, and you fight several bosses before you even fight Ifrit. They made a whole section of this game
Yeah.
post launch. And I think the amount of stuff they added really does add a lot of value to it. Do I wish that it was added in the first place? Of course, shut up. But like even in the stuff that I got in the first place, I thought was pretty good. I thought pre-patch Final Fantasy 15 Chapter 13, the little horror game section where you had a little magic ring, I thought that was fine. I
Oh yeah,
liked
that
it.
was cool. Yeah.
Like I liked it. I got through it easy. I don't know what everyone was complaining about, and then they nerfed
Okay.
it. I'm like, cool. All right, whatever. So
Well,
whatever. The good Lord gives and takes away whatever he pleases. But I
right.
yeah, but no, like sometimes just games hits when sometimes games hit and sometimes they don't. Like even like there are some games where I'm like, that was a fantastic game. Don't know if it'll crack my top 10.
All right, guys. Well, that's gonna do it for today. We are at 124, so let's call it there. Yeah, I am the Fat Man here at the Fat Man Gaming. Down below is the new cast member and permanent host going forward. Yeah, that is Nate. How we always end things. Sometimes we start it, sometimes we end it. But yeah, how we always do that is we end with what we're playing before we go out. So yeah, let me start real quick. I am currently playing through Resident Evil 3. Like I had said, I am playing the Resident Evil games from here till February, to lead up into 9. Um, 9, I have pre-ordered the big edition. Um, I was going to pre-order the big edition for 9 on the Switch 2, but good sense came to me and I realized I do not want to play that game on the Switch 2. Although the Switch 2 is getting a very awesome looking Pro controller and some kind of amiibo. Um, yeah, they're getting an amiibo, dude. They haven't said there's two. They think that one is the main protagonist, I forget her name, and then the second one might be my boy Leon.
Nice.
Um, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. And then yeah, Nate, what are you playing?
I've been playing on a lot of Night Rain recently, but I've also been kind of contemplating going back and I've been contemplating picking up a new game. Still on the kind of the search there. I've been playing a little bit of Bloodborne. I played through Mega Man 2 recently. Game's only like an
Nice.
hour long, so it's pretty pretty quick to finish. Um, but yeah, no, that's pretty much all I'm really playing. I'm kind of debating whether what I want when I want to play next, though. Still not entirely sure. I did play a little bit of Devil May Cry 3 to just kind of like for funsies, just to see how it was after a while. And game's still fun. Game's still good.
Nice. What is
G-
that? Ew.
Game's still a fun, campy mess, and I love it.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's what we're playing. So that's it for this episode. And then, yeah, do excuse the audio issues. I'll try to get them taken care of as soon as I can. And then sorry about the technical difficulties, but hey, like originally when I started this podcast, it was derived on pure chaos. It's always going to be kind of pure chaos going forward. So yeah, me and Nate, we are going to be signing out. Um, Want to get some guests on here, so that me and Nate can make fun of them. I'm just kidding, but yeah. But till then, guys, we'll see you in the next one, and then yeah, we will see you guys later. Deuces.
Good night, y'all.